Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Bioshock Survivor difficulty Brass Balls walkthrough. This is the end of Neptune's Bounty, a rather long level that I've thoroughly enjoyed exploring. And we're going to be coming up against Peach, who is technically a boss. And then we're going to be going to the Smuggler's Den, I think it's called, which is the next video. And this is one of those sequences that can be quite intimidating. There's also the Spider Splicer, and there's going to be a Big Daddy, so it's a little bit more intensive than the last few videos. One thing I noticed about this Bioshock walkthrough is when we get to the bits where it's tricky, and I can guide you through what you need to do, the commentary flows really easily. But when I'm just kind of exploring and picking stuff up and, you know, killing stragglers left and right, did not see that turret whatsoever. Blinded by the light or something. The commentary flows really well, but when there's not so much to speak about, it's kind of an issue of what to say, because I've implemented early on a lot of the strategies we're going to be using. I've mentioned telekinesis is really good. I've mentioned when we get the crossbow it's going to replace a lot of our damage dealing weapons. I've mentioned that you can do cancelling techniques with the grenade launcher and with the shotgun and with the crossbow to do more damage quicker. So I've mentioned a lot of the things to be aware of. I'm going to experiment later on with the chemical thrower because I wanted to, and it introduced me to something that I've done before but I haven't done in a while, which is freezing people and then headshotting them and saving ammunition. So that's something that you're going to see. I've spoken about utilising the alarms and exploiting them to always have companions, a nice firing squad that comes everywhere with you. And aside from that, I don't know if there's any other real strategies I need to speak too much about. Like, of course, Winter's Blast is great to replace Thunderbolt if you don't like Thunder. Additionally, if you hit the turrets with it, it enables the hack water to move slower because it's frozen. Does he get a little sister? No, he doesn't. No dice, poor big lad. That is a Rosie. The Rosies are everywhere on this level. Bouncers on the first level, Rosies on this level, Rosies in Arcadia, and then is it Bouncers in Fort Frolic, and they're elite at that point, so they're the tougher ones. And my goodness, have I danced with some of those elite bouncers. I reckon wrench fights with those bouncers is real interesting, because when you get close to him, getting distance again can be real tricky. And I don't know if the wrench can stun, but you need a stun sometimes against bouncers, because can you remember how I fought that very first Splicer, and I was explaining to you that if you move to his left shoulder you can dodge the jump, and if you move after you strike him you'll dodge his reprisal and things like that, but occasionally he'll do a fast swing that you just can't really do anything about because the movement in this game just isn't fast enough for it to be competitive like that, and you don't have a block or any kind of dodge, so there are holes where it's very difficult to do things to keep yourself safe. Now imagine that against a bloody bouncer. The bouncer stamps on the ground and freezes you. He then proceeds to sprint towards you really quickly considering his size, and if he decides to, he can do a dashing, streaking shoulder barge that's incredibly fast, covers insane damage, and does a lot of damage if it hits you. And then when he's close, he's just going to straight up smack you, which is deceptively long ranged, very powerful, and can hit you in some places you shouldn't think he should hit you, so I don't know, I reckon the wrench fights are probably interesting. And there's plenty of people that have done, you know, hardest difficulty, wrench only kind of stuff, because I've seen those videos on the internet. I've never watched them, but I'm aware of them. And I know that the wrench is really good because it's one of the most powerful weapons in the game once you spec to it, once you get all the right tonics and, you know, the right features, like the Bloodhound and the, is it Combat Jockey, I think it's called? It turns it really powerful. And this is extended again into the drill in the second game. The drill is ridiculous in that second game. It's funny too, isn't it? You know what you don't remember about games. Like, I didn't realise that you had to swap between plasmids and weapons on this game. But if it didn't work like that, you wouldn't be able to do the reload cancelling as effectively, so I kind of really like that. And on the second game, of course, you can use plasmids and weapons at the same time, which is the one thing I always wanted in this game, so that's why that game is an improvement in a lot of people's minds. I'd be interested in what the advanced techniques are in Bioshock 2, because I don't know. That's a game I don't really remember, and a couple of people have been asking if I'm going to cover it, and I have no intentions of covering it for YouTube. But if there's enough people that ask for it, I suppose I could. I think I'm probably going to end up streaming it, because I haven't streamed in ages, and I need to get back on the horse. And Bioshock 2 could be a fun one, because I don't remember it being very... What was that? I don't know what that was. I just took massive damage from a grenade. I just visually saw a grenade being thrown at that, what looked like that camera, perhaps. And there's nobody there. It sounded like a Big Daddy were pissed off, but there's a Big Daddy in front of me and it isn't pissed off. It could have potentially been a nitro splicer, but where were they? I don't know. Wow. But we've been through this area. That's me introducing you to the concept that freezing these guys and shooting them normally is perhaps not the best strategy. If that was anti-personnel, he would have died much quicker and I wouldn't have taken any damage there, but that's the reason that I don't often use the stun of the electricity into standard guns, because it's just not good enough. On normal, that works a treat. On hard, probably much better. But survival, once again, a couple of those modifiers have been tweaked so that you have to work a little bit harder. But do not fear it, guys. You have every tool you need to succeed. If this game was really, really strict on ammunition, and you had... Can you imagine if you had to invent everything you found? Like, there's no ammo in the game on Survivor. All there is the shit that you put together to make bullets, and you had to craft every single bullet you fired. Now, that'd be an experience, because it'd be tough. And it'd be way more survival involved, so it would kind of fit the Survivor moniker way better. But then again, I don't know. You know, I think that could be a cool way to look at it. But ammo on this game is so plentiful, it's hilarious. And then there's the shops. So there's no excuse to ever not have everything you need at your disposal. The only thing that I can excuse you for not having is the gels. Because when I use the electricity gel, which is fantastic against Big Daddies and the final boss, I couldn't find any more of it, and I couldn't find a vendor that sold it. Because it's those bandit ones, I think. Are they racist, those random Mexican bandits? Or is it just stereotyping? Or is it just fun? Because I hate shit like that when it gets called racist. You know? It's like every film that has an English villain. Like, if the English guy's a villain in the film, you're being racist, clearly. It's like, no. They just like the sound of English people, and we're obviously evil. You know, that's how it works. Everybody knows this. That's why the bad guys in 80s and 90s movies were always the same. They always either had long hair, mullets, or were muscly. Like, you couldn't be muscly with a mullet in one of those early action movies because you had to be the bad guy. You looked too awesome not to be the bad guy. And then it's been replaced with skinny dudes in suits with good voices. I like it. But we're coming back through an area you've seen before. This is an area where we've got a rocket turret at our disposal, so we can hopefully deal some damage. There's a turret that a tonic, sorry, that I've not picked up. I love the tonic design. I think it looks really cool. You know, that burly face dude? Can you imagine if he was a Big Daddy? Like a big automatron that looked like him. Oh, somebody's... I was going to say, am I not being attacked by a spider slicer? I couldn't see her. So she's the boss, I think. And she takes a massive beating. You know when you hit somebody that close with a shotgun and it does that much damage? That is a sad moment for video games. And then when you hit her with... what's it called? Telekinesis? I wanted to call it psycho or something then. That was weird. Brain fart. But when you hit her with these massive tools and you do no damage, it's when you realise this bitch has got gains, man. She's to be saluted, but not in the good way, because she's the bad one. She needs to not be saluted and die very fast. So all I'm going to do is try and immobilise her and hit her with my strong weapons, but she hits me a ton. The good news is there's a lot of vending machines. So if I take too much damage, I can just recuperate. That was very dangerous of me. So I'm thinking about luring her into the water and then hitting her with the electricity to get some extra damage. But then I realise there's not much to stand on to give myself immunity. And then when I do it, it does no damage, and she does that wonderful, we didn't animate the full jump, so it does this really awkward vertical elevation trick. I love that. She's like David Blaine. And then I'm just going to hit her with the grenades, I think. Do some grenade cancelling, maybe. And then shock her when she's on the floor, another grenade. Shock her when she's on the floor, and another grenade. Like, it's not a tough fight. She's just Mike Tyson. She will not go down. It's ridiculous. And then once she's done, Peach tells us it's all good and gravy, and we get to go back. And she does give you a great replenishment, because she's way harder than the Big Daddies when it comes to HP, because she takes massive beatings. And she's tougher than Peach too. Peach is a big pussy. And I died on the Peach fight, and I was really bitter about it, because I had the quickest Peach kill in history. And I'm no speedrunner, but I was really proud of it. All I did was I picked up a barrel with telekinesis, I chucked it, and for whatever reason, there was a massive chain reaction of the perfect things happening, and everybody died. And I'd hurt myself in the explosion because it was that epic. And then afterwards, there was an alarm. I didn't see a camera, I didn't see a reason for an alarm, but in my epic moment of killing everybody, I set off an alarm, and a fucking turret ran round the corner and shot me. A little flying tosser. And I died. And I was really, really pissed. Because it was beautiful. It was like a 4-second fight. It looked so good. And then the one that I've got for the video, where I don't set off the turret, is really slow and annoying and nowhere near as good. But that's YouTube, folks. If you want to get, you know, the best performances on the encounters, you have to put the time in. You have to really retry. And on walkthroughs, I don't like retrying. But this is the game explaining to us that he wants us to put our weapons away. So this is where your plasmids are very important. And the game rather intelligently enables you to swap up your plasmids. I don't use Incinerate because I just don't need it, but I really like it. I think it's a useful tool, and it can be good at getting loot because there can be a lot of ice in certain parts of the game where if you get past them you can get some good rewards. But for the most, it's not something I truly use. However, in this next sequence it can be very useful because it's going to help you put some damage over time on people, and it can also be an interesting stun because certain splices respond quite dramatically when they're hit by it. Some of them will go to try and heal, some of them will run around all crazy like, and other ones will just stand there taking the fire as if it's a mechanic that doesn't work. So it can be a little bit sporadic in its uses, but utility-wise, it's still a cool tool. But don't put your stuff in the pneumo, and then get ready for an interesting encounter. So all you're going to be doing here is chucking the explosive barrels at bad people, and then when you kill somebody, you want to use telekinesis to throw the bodies at bad people. That's all you need. If you can't do that and you're struggling, you could try hacking the camera and use the turrets for some help. You could try throwing back the Nitro Splicer's bombs to get some quick damage. Or you could even try using the wrench if you like the wrench, that will work. But this is the barrel over here. If you defrost the ice next to those other barrels, it might set everything up, which could be a nice blast of chain reactions, or it might just enable you to pick up the barrels. But once Peach has finished saying that he's a paranoid dude and he believes you're working for Atlas, which we kind of are, or Fontaine or whatever, then everyone's going to start attacking you. So there's a real weird thing that happens here where you can't quite see the world, and then it materializes in front of you once the steam kind of dissipates. And then once it dissipates, that's when everybody's available to be killed. So I try and set off the chain reaction just then. I get another barrel. I don't know what happened then. That was very strange. I fire a barrel at this person with a gun, and it doesn't go where I want it to go, and then I end up picking up a bottle, which is fun. So, pick the body up. The body's the one you want. That's a dead bitch. Take the body again, wait for the dude to get a bit closer, and then make another dead one. Be careful of that. That's the thing that killed me last time. And I think, outside of the turret and the camera, that is all the opponents you're going to fight in here outside of going into the rooms and killing a couple of splicers in there. So pretty quick, wasn't it? But nowhere near as good as my first run. It was so delicious. So at this point, you're going to go around the room and you're going to burn up the doorways so that you can enter them, pick up the goodies and loot and everything. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can just skip it and get on with the game. But I do like exploring in Bioshock. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Bioshock Infinite, I'm hearing some interesting things about. Apparently the port for the new consoles is a little bit unstable. It freezes and hitches quite a lot, which I find quite disappointing. And I was really excited about it too, because apparently it is the patch, it is a port, sorry, of the PC version, which is way better looking and in 60 frames per second than the one that I originally played. So not only can I redo Bioshock Infinite because YouTube fucked my guide in the eye for no reason, which I find baffling. I was looking at the videos that are left. There's 3 videos left of my Bioshock Infinite guide. YouTube removed it because apparently I was exploiting the system in some bullshit way. And I've looked at my description, I've looked at my tags, and there's nothing in them that you can even remotely say is misleading or wrong. The metadata's spot on. It's a walkthrough, dude. Like, but they take it away and you can't appeal it. There's no appeal at all. It's just gone forever. And I don't back my videos up because to me, when I put them on YouTube, I'm done with them and they're there and they exist. And it's one of the kind of cathartic aspects of making a guide. You can see the product for yourself and you don't have to go back to it. You know, it's almost one of those areas where by deleting the project, it enables me to stop thinking about it, because you're never done with a guide, really, because you can always do things better. There's no such thing as perfect play or a perfect result. There's always something you want to tweak. So when you do get rid of them, it can be that exclamation point to move on. You know, it can be everything you need. It can be the absolution of it. But you don't think that a robot's going to flag it and remove a ton of videos. And then when you look into try and, you know, standing an appeal for it, you just can't. And I just... It shows how fickle and how easy it is to get fucked on this website. Which is why, if you're somebody who's trying to make money off YouTube and use it to sustain you, you've got to realise that it is not safe, regardless of who you are, except for, you know, PewDiePie and that. But it can go at any second, just because they flip a switch. And it's one of the reasons why I think that new, you know, YouTube bumper buddies or whatever it's called, we're going to use humans to monitor video flags. It's like, you think? You're only 20 years late. Maybe if a human had monitored my fucking flag, I'd still have videos. And have you noticed, they didn't take down a walkthrough that had 10 videos on it. It's got 44 videos. That's a big guide. That's a lot of my life that I put into that, and it's gone with nothing to show for it. And I think it's disgusting. And even better, I get people that go onto those videos nowadays and accuse me of deleting it. Why the fuck would I delete my own work? I'm not some psychopath. Like, I don't take immense pleasure in cock-teasing people. I'm not a stripper. I don't have the rhythm. That was amazing. I love doing that. God, telekinesis is so strong. I don't think it's this strong in the second game, and that makes me sad. I love having just the power of God in my hands. It's really, really fun. It'd be good if you could pick these big fish up. I want to hit somebody with this big fish. What kind of fish is that? It's huge. That is a big fish. But this is an area that's just full of loot, basically, so it's a nice bonus for beating a boss. Another one of those old mechanics that I'm glad to see that's been celebrated in Bioshock. And I don't know if people are... Like, I could talk to people these days that probably don't know about these old paradigms, because if they've grown up on COD and Battlefield and everything, those campaigns don't have this kind of shit. You know, they don't have those designs. Oh, and I love it too. So if you don't know, and I'm assuming you do, but I always like to treat my audience as if perhaps I'm speaking to somebody who might not know what games are. And I know it can sound a bit contradictory or patronising to some people. Oh. I don't want to condescend. It's not my goal in these commentaries. You might be thinking, well, how is it contradictory? Well, it's one of those things where a lot of people think just because they're on these videos, they like games and they know everything about games, so it's easy to just assume that people know what you're talking about. And I get so many comments where people just don't really understand certain aspects of things, and it's not because they're stupid or anything, it's just because they don't know. You know, it's an ignorance. And ignorance can be cured with information, because it's not a bad thing, it just means that you're not aware of it. I didn't realise that the shoe sizes in Europe had such big numbers. They like start at 32 or some shit. I was flabbergasted, because I don't go shoe shopping very often, because I don't see the point. I put things on my shoes so that I don't step on glass and stuff. I don't do it for fashion or anything. Whereas my girlfriend has more shoes than she does like hot meals. She's got tons of shoes and she's always looking for more. So to her, the inside of a shoe is well-tread progress. She's been there. It is a frontier she has conquered. Not so much me. I don't look in shoes. They are a mystery to me. I know about certain things, and that's not one of them. I was profoundly ignorant to the size of European feet. Because I was like, size 38? Who's this? The BFG? And it was a size 5 or something is the comparison. And you think size 5 is quite small, don't you? I'm a size 13, so to me it is really small. I could never get my foot in that. But then you hear size 32 and you just think, are these footballers? Are they clowns? Are they making shoes for clowns in this place? I had no idea. And my grandma, that's a wonderful thing, isn't it? My girlfriend's my grandma. Yes, I like them old. The varicose veins do something for me. No, my girlfriend was just... She was on point. She knew. Straight up. I had no idea. All the women are just throwing their faces up and rolling their eyes as this cretin comes in here into their palace of wonder and leather, and I had no idea. I was a sinner I was a heretic in a holy land of shoes. But all it is, guys, is ignorance, you know? And you can fix it, which is a good feeling. So if you don't know, and I hope you do, in old games, there were boss fights, and before them they were easy to spot. Because they would fluff you up like nothing else. They would give you ammo for guns you never had ammo for. They would fill you up on life. They'd give you a ton of armor. They were essentially saying, without words, prepare your anus. And you knew it was coming, and then you'd get into a room and it'd be a massive circle, and you knew something big was dropping down, and you were going to have to shoot it till next week. And in this area, there would generally be health pickups everywhere, bits of ammo everywhere, and alas, the boss would be there. And then once you killed the boss, you would usually get rewarded with something unique, maybe a new weapon, or just a cache of new items and new things, or just a replenishment for what you had to put in them. And there was always a bonus somewhere after a big fight, because they realised that you were going to expend a lot of ammo. And nowadays in games, because of the way games work, you generally just don't see that too much. You still see it occasionally, but nowhere near in the same way. And there are designs in games where if you know about them and you learn them, you can spot what's going to happen before it happens. And I love that kind of knowledge, because it's your awareness overcoming the game's challenges. And then you play something like Call of Duty, and it's really hard to predict because it's just one straight line of everything blowing up, so you can only say, like, well, I think things are going to blow up, and then the guy next to you is like, really? No shit, as he blasts his eardrums. But I liked things like that. I liked knowing that I was going to get a nice, ooh, I got something cool because I did something good. Like, I think Enter the Gungeon had it, didn't it? Where when you beat the boss, you got a reward for beating the boss and something cool. Whereas in some games, you beat the boss and it's just, here's another boss. And the boss is a tank, and then the next boss is another tank, and you're like, I'm fed up of killing tanks. Can I drop this massive, anti-aircraft weapon that shouldn't kill tanks? Thank you. But anyhow, guys, this is Bioshock. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.